It is one of those things where, oh wow, it's very convenient you have that,
Look
John.
at that.
Wow, it's almost as if does it fit on your head?
It does fit on my head. Why wouldn't it fit on my head?
Put it on.
Yeah,
Don't
put it on.
believe you.
We don't believe you. Yeah,
Put
yeah, yeah.
it on.
Yeah.
Put it on.
Yeah.
I think I feel like I gotta wait till the end of the review to put it on.
Put it
No. Put it on. Put it on. Put it on. Put it on.
We're gonna put it at the end of the review, folks.
No,
you guys
put
stay.
it on.
No.
Put it on. Keep it on.
Keep it on.
I can't hear you.
Keep it on. Keep it on. Yeah, you have headphones, man.
This is my one problem with this helmet.
Your headphones are in your ear, dummy.
Yeah, John. There was a time, for those viewers back in the time that watched the podcast when we do our masks on, there was one of us. I don't want to name names that just committed the bit and never took off the mask they had.
I think two you did it. I was like, "There's nothing on the line, so you're not."
Stu beat me
you're not
by
winning
like
anything.
2 minutes. It was like the last 2 minutes, and I was like, "All right, I guess we're done." And I took it off. And he's like, "I win!" And I was like,
"Never, you." It's not as we learned in Tropic Thunder. I only take it. Everything finishes off in the audio commentary. So until that happens, I remain in character. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Heroes World Quarantine podcast. My name is Stu. I'm one of your hosts. I'm here with one of the owners and proprietors of Heroes World. That'd be Mr. John Ho.
What's up, folks?
And our resident prince of mischief, Mr. Rob Gadet.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Thank you, everyone. We've been, I guess, contemplating our next move, just like the fine people of a country unknown under the water. But, yeah, so we're going to talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It's a movie that I think we were, after Black Panther 1, we could all agree we were looking very forward to it. The untimely passing of Chadwick Boseman really threw a wrench into that, and we were all kind of a little concerned about what could transpire and what was going to happen. We did have lots of comic books to give us a little bit of guidance as to what direction they would go to, and here we are. So we're going to do a little bit of a review of that and go from there. So, John, this movie has a villain. His name is Namor. You know how much I love him.
Namor.
As Rob's just gonna chime in. A man with no love.
That's right.
Yeah, no love. And a character that Rob has said numerous times he doesn't understand. He doesn't get. This person's stupid. Meanwhile,
Aquaman is the best.
Aquaman is the best. Namor is stupid. And he doesn't understand it. I've always championed Namor. I'm like, dude, it's the best. And previous podcasts, I'm like, here's his comic where he's awesome. And we continue on, whether he was part of the Illuminati or just him just trying to woo Sue Richards. There's a lot of fun stuff with that character. John, before we get into the full Black Panther, how hyped were you going into this movie? Like, what was your feeling? You saw the trailer. What were your kind of feelings before going to this film?
Yeah, so I pretty high expectations, I think. But I also did know the circumstances that they were put into. So I did kind of taper those expectations. Obviously, we're not going to get the true Black Panther sequel that would have happened after the course of the first movie because of tragic circumstances of Chadwick Boseman's passing. But overall, I was pretty hyped for this. I feel like we didn't have a big deal a Marvel movie dropping that had anything attached to it. Like we had a lot of new movies this year. So this was the first one kind of bringing that kind of like, oh, we need this. We have this thing from the past and how are they going to do it? Who's going to take over? Who's going to do this? All that kind of stuff. So, and I think I kept relatively out of spoiler territory. I know they spoiled a couple things with like some Lego sets and some other toy reveals. So overall, yes, I was pretty hyped for this.
Rob, where was your hype level? Where were you on the hype beast meter?
So listen, guys, I'm going to be honest. My hype level was low. And I think that it was because of a lot of the stories that were leaking out about Letitia Wright, about the production issues, about, you know, we have to remember this is like during COVID. There was a lot of awkwardness and feelings with respect to Marvel wanting everybody had to be vaccinated for their sets. She was in the UK because she suffered a pretty serious accident on set, and then she came out, made some comments, and it just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth with respect to the whole movie. And I know that sounds very petty, but I'm just being honest. It felt to me like I was just like, I don't want to. I just felt kind of just shunned by the whole thing. I was irritated by it. I saw the first trailer and I thought, okay, cool. I'm excited to see what happens with Namor, the actor. I know him from Narcos Mexico, so I was pretty hyped to see him in that role. But again, I wasn't a big fan of Letitia Wright in the first movie, and so when I saw what was happening in this one of the trailers, I was like, ah. So overall, my hype level was pretty low going into it. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think I personally was, like you, Rob, followed it pretty closely. And I knew already with Namor, and I was like, oh, this actor, I don't know if I believe he can do this and pull it off. Yeah. And there was a lot of things. And it happened to be that trailer when it dropped with I think it was a Bob Marley, Kendrick Lamar thing that dropped, and that kind of got me. I'm like, okay, this trailer with the soundtrack, it really got me kind of interested to the movie itself. I think we're gonna have some very interesting views of this movie. I think we were chatting quickly about where it lands in this Marvel phase. But we'll get to that momentarily. I think from Rotten Tomatoes standpoint, as opposed to Black Adam, this movie had an 84% fresh rating. It had a 95 audience score. So if people went, they went. And I think it was just one of those things where, without spoiling, I think we can get, it does honor the loss and honors Chadwick Boseman. So if you did go to it, there was a lot of, the first act really does kind of tribute and push things in to remind us of the great Chadwick Boseman, and then it kind of goes off into a different direction. So I think that people go into it not wanting to maybe wreck the vibe, but it is a movie that's a little conflicted. So by saying that, John, what are you giving this movie out of 10?
Out of 10, I hesitate.
Wait a minute. Why do you have to make it sound like it's a surprise? What? Out of 10? Oh,
yeah, I hesitate.
John's like, huh? Is it 11 or 12 or 13 or 14, 15?
Is this the first time we've ranked movies out of 10?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought we were gonna go with a different scale or do some more lead up. But yeah, out of 10, I would love to give this 10 out of 10. But like Stu said, there are some problems later on in the film. It does a lot of things right, and a lot of things just don't quite connect like I would have liked. Maybe my score will change upon a reviewing a rewatch because you guys are going to hear about my first theater experience with this. But I'm going to give this, I think I have to give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
Whoa. Wow. Okay. Wow. All right, Rob. Rob's like, Rob feels like his little wing got pulled off.
Ow, my ankle. Listen, guys. I'm gonna give it I'm giving it a 6, and I'm being generous on it.
Wow.
I
thought I was low. I thought I was like, I feel bad giving it 8.5. I feel like I should give it higher.
No, I'm giving a 7.5. I think I think there are points, but I'm and I could be swayed to be a 7. I was like at this point. So
you could be swayed to go down, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
You can't convince me to raise it, but you could probably convince me to lower it.
Yeah, I don't think you can get me to go higher than 7.5, but I'm
surprised that you're even that high. So I'm interested to find out your thoughts.
I think you know the only reason why it's this high.
Sure.
So
all right.
Yeah, that's. I think that's. I think it's.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
Anyways. For those who are anyways, all right, cool. So John, so do you recommend that people go watch this movie theater? Or should you now? This is now a new segment because should I go to the theater or should I wait for it to come to streaming? Because we are at a new age where movies come out in 30 days or 45 sometimes. Should I go to the theater or should I wait for it to come to Disney Plus? John?
I always recommend everyone go to the theaters. I love the theater experience. That increases it for me. But whereas in this particular case, my theater experience was not great. I had an entire row in front of me on their cell phones the whole time, which was really
they're bored.
Yeah, it was. You think so? I think they were just teenagers and they were constantly checking things on their phones. I did, tap one of them on the shoulder and go, hey, you guys, this is getting kind of crazy. They stopped for a little while and then they kept doing it after that. And I was just like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna fight this whole row. What's going on?
Yeah.
So unfortunately,
yeah, you're so intimidating.
Yeah.
One person you tapped, I'm sure that guy was like, sorry, sir. Right.
Well, what you didn't know is John had a jock strap ready to put on his face, and then he was like, "Wait till I'm ready to go."
It's your reckoning.
No, it's the water breathers of Namor's people. So that's not Bane.
Yeah.
But given that experience, I have a hard time recommending you go see it in theaters because it does have some slow parts that might get ruined by audience members. So I'm not going to be mad. Your miles
may vary, John. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's. I haven't had that problem yet.
Yeah. I haven't had it in the longest time, and then this is the first in like a long time.
What theater was this?
This was at the Silver City, so the Big Deal Theater. I went on the Thursday. I did go to an earlier showing that I'm used to. I think I went to like an 8 p.m. showing. So usually I go the late night.
Yep.
So usually they're like 10, 11 o'clock. So this one had more, I guess, younger audience. Which
you got to go either 3 or 11.
Yeah. So I guess this is more the norm for them. And I tried my best to be just like, you know what, this is just how the new generation is. You got to check your phone. You got to do whatever. But I couldn't, especially this one where there are some quiet, I'm going to call them quieter moments where the performances kind of like take a little bit to get rolling and they're a little bit more subdued and stuff like that, which takes away from the experience. I think I wasn't able to enjoy those non-action in your face moments because everyone was on their phone. But as I said, I always have to recommend you go see things in the theater. So hopefully you don't have the same experience I had.
Rob?
Well, so we're recording this. The movie's already been out for 2 weeks, and to your point, generally things are appearing on Disney Plus within about 60 days. So given that, and given that there's really nothing out right now, this is the 24th of November. So I would say, go ahead and check it out in theater. But I will say with a caveat, it's not one of those movies where it's a massive spectacle of like a scene or whatever, where it's like it really enhances seeing it on the big screen. So that's the one thing that I will say, like, if you don't, and if you choose to watch it at home, you're not missing out on the grandioseness of watching a massive battle on a big screen. It just doesn't, there's nothing in this movie that lends itself to needing to be watched on the screen.
Yeah, I recommend going to the theater if possible. Late night is ideal, or early in the day. I think that it's a movie that excels with a really good sound system. So if you don't have that at home, I would recommend it. It's not, and then everyone's like, "Oh, watch at home." Like on my tablet, it's like, please don't do this. Like if you have, if it's my iPad or the theater, go to the theater.
Yeah.
That caveat that if you have a big screen TV and a full sounds, like that's okay. That's a different story. But if it's like, oh, I'm just gonna play my laptop on my computer while I'll do something else, like please go. So that's my caveat. Okay, so we're gonna go into spoilers because we've given our recommendations. We told people to the theater, go if you can. So put up the spoilers. Whoa, here we go. The evolution of spoilers. So if you are listening on Spotify or on iTunes, please note that we are in the spoiler zone. John, Black Panther spoilers. Give us your list. The list of all lists. What do you know? What do you like? Give us your questionnaire.
Yeah, so this movie, I didn't have a chance to put together a list because I think I'm gonna have to go see it again because of the experience that I had seeing this. So I haven't had a chance
John's
to do
being
it.
kind because when he went on It's a Small World After All, it kind of MIB wiped his brain. So
Yeah. My brain got wiped out. A lot of things occurred within the week directly after watching this and us recording this now. So my brain's kind of foggy. So I did want to point out, like, I guess I could rattle off my favorite characters from the movie. So my top three has to be probably, let me think here. I did like the return
Namor.
Namor is number one. I think Stu alluded to it earlier that one character might, or one factor might have saved this movie for him. The performance of Namor or whatever.
Kukulkan.
Was really well done, and the character he was really kind of fleshed out pretty well, as you kind of understood where he's coming from. Maybe he was going to a certain extreme, but I thought it was it's Ryan Coogler directed this one as well, right?
Yeah.
So he seems to have a really good knack for making a villain that you kind of like care for and you understand his motivations. So Namor definitely number one. Number two is Nakia. She was amazing in this movie. I thought she looked really good, and she had a lot more to do than she got in the previous movies. So that she was really cool. And then I will shout out the Queen, Angela Bassett plays the Queen. I thought she did an amazing job. She really stepped up with the loss of Chadwick Boseman at being her central figure. I was actually, when she was wearing that one shirt with the cropped off top and stuff, and you could see like her muscles and everything. I was like, yo, give her the Black Panther costume for a second here. I thought she deserved it. And then runner up would be the guest shot by Killmonger. So I was actually really surprised. I kind of like was when the chair was like kind of spinning around. I was like, they're not going to do a CGI Chadwick and have him there. And then I know it's not the mother. I assumed it would be the mother, and then you turn around and it's Killmonger, and I was like, oh man, this is cool. So I was really happy with that. I don't know how you guys feel about Michael B. Jordan returning. I've seen the internet. Have you guys seen the internet meme where they show the kid at the end? And the kid looks like Killmonger instead, and it's like, oh, whoops, that would have been a funny twist. But overall, I think this was really good, given the situation. There, like, no one was able to take that spot that Chadwick has created or was in Black Panther 1. With the loss of him, his not being here, his presence. You could feel it. You could definitely tell there was no one kind of jumping into that role, and maybe they didn't want anyone to kind of jump in and take that light, and that's why they spread it around so many different characters and stuff. But overall, I really want to like this movie a lot more than I think I should. So I think on the reviewing, maybe more things will fall into place. But it was, I think, you guys are probably going to dive into it, a little bit messy in the plot sometimes. I don't know if they took the easy route or they just made it confusing overall. I do like Riri Williams in it, but I don't include her in my list because I feel like she wasn't as necessary towards the end. I feel like her cameo maybe.
Are you sure that's her name? It's not the scientist?
The scientist? Is that what they called her?
That's what Namor called her. Where's the scientist? It's like,
I think did they call her the American scientist or something like that?
No, just the scientist. Just the scientist.
That was the part of the smoke and mirror game, right? You don't know who it is. But I thought like her intro was very strong, and then towards the end, she kind of, I don't know if she overstayed her welcome, but I feel like she was taking away from some of the things the Wakandans were doing and stuff like that. But like I said, overall, I think this film is good. I'm gonna have to watch it again because those guys on their cell phones. I'm gonna.
All right, Rob. Let us know what are your thoughts.
Okay, I'm just gonna start off by saying like I'm being hard on the movie because I think there's a lot of problems with the movie. And
especially since Rob, you're living in a Tron world, because clearly I see light cars flying behind you. So that's right. I was like, well, those who we have to mute the Daft Punk music because we don't want to be sued. No. So, anyways, carry on.
So all that to say, where it's not fair to criticize is I think that the filmmakers had an almost impossible task of being able to make a movie that honors Chadwick Boseman without forgetting him, then without it becoming too much of a in memoriam type of a project, to also keep a story moving tied to his legacy, and then setting up other future projects or characters like Namor. So I think it's like almost an insurmountable task that they were given. And I would love to read the original screenplay that was written when Chadwick was ready to star in it. Because I'm sure it was a vastly different movie. And so my hat's off to Ryan Coogler and everybody involved. And as much as I am not a fan of Letitia Wright, flat out, I will say I respect the shit out of her because she did some wicked acting in this when it came to the grief aspect. Like, that first act is all about grief, right? And I thought she did a fantastic job dealing with that and handling and like the portrayal. And you can tell, obviously, it was almost like art imitating life, because I think she was very, they were all heartbroken as to the untimely passing, right? And the fact that they kind of wove that into the story about that they weren't aware that he was battling this disease, T'Challa, right? So, and Angela Bassett, like, just give her like an Oscar nomination now. Like, she was fantastic in this movie. And so, you know, for all of those, you know, like I respect the shit out of what they did. But here's my problem, though, is that, first of all, the movie is Wakanda Forever, which is about the runtime of the movie. It was fucking long. It did not go by quickly. I was checking my watch. It was like, I was like, what is happening here? I know John, you know, he said he liked the inclusion of Riri Williams. To be honest with you, I felt like, what was the point? Like, why are we shoehorning in this character? For what purpose? It literally serves zero purpose,
Rob,
aside to say that
it spins off into a TV show. That's about it.
No, okay, you and I know that, but if we forget about the fact that they've now set up to have her own TV series, like, we didn't need that. Moon Knight didn't get an introduction in a movie to then segue into his own TV series. Like, I just felt like this whole entire thing, just to set up a TV series, was just like, it was frustrating. It felt out of place. It felt forced. And it didn't belong.
She was kind of taking it away from them, right? She was,
but it didn't. Her whole inclusion made zero. Like, it was like, it didn't propel the story any further. It only, like, the whole point of her being there was because she had built this underwater, you know, robot thing to be able to scour to find a vibranium. But, like, you don't need one person to have done that. You could have easily said, well, the U.S. government had built it. They already have the issues with the U.S. government at any rate. So, like, it was just like, why are we doing that? I just felt like her being there added so much shit to the movie. It was ridiculous.
They needed they needed that Star Trek moment where they had to talk smart to each other and be like, oh, what if the thing of that they needed someone to bounce off, because apparently no one else is smart in Wakanda that could have that conversation about how Namor is the water. It's like, well, why are you knocking him in the water? Oh, why don't we just take him away from the water? I was like, oh my gosh, really? You need two super geniuses to figure out, get him out of the water is the answer. So yeah, I think that was part of the snappy dialogue between two scientists,
but it didn't match the tone of what this movie was going for, right? So I don't know if that was a Kevin Feige, like, no, you need to include this. I don't know, but I would have preferred her to not to have been included. The whole stuff with Namor, like, I thought it was very interesting going into this that they were choosing this Mayan background for it, and I think it's great, not a problem. I do, though, think that we shouldn't be calling him a villain. I don't think he's a villain whatsoever in the sense of the word. I would almost say, though, like, Atuma and Namora are more villainous than what Namor is, right? I found, like, the action scenes to be really like, not up to par. Like, the first real quote unquote action scene was when they don't even call themselves the Atlanteans, but when the Atlanteans actually attack the shipping freighter. And even then it wasn't much. And then you get no action. You get nothing until the fight when they're trying to rescue the scientist of Riri Williams on that bridge. I thought they did Okoye, like, dirty, to be honest with you. When Shuri was showing off that stupid, it looked like the Appleized version of the Court of Owls costume. I was like, what is going on here? She's made like a Court of Owls costume, but like all blue. What's happening with this, right?
She looks like a Pokemon.
Yeah, and then she made 2 of them and gave it to Okoye and the other girl, and she's like, this is your armor. I was like, this looks stupid. Like, what? This looks like a cast off from a Star Wars, series. Like, what is this? This makes no sense. Like, why are you giving Okoye this special armor? Like, she's a fierce badass. She was a fierce.
Her fight on the bridge is, I think, really good though, Rob.
Yeah, exactly.
Her versus Atuma is really good, and she didn't have the armor,
right?
And that was probably her best scene that she got to do.
Dude,
and then they gave her the G.I. Joe accelerator suit at the end.
Yeah,
yeah. Good call.
Her and Channing Tatum were sharing notes because it's like we saw her in Endgame and like she was Infinity War, and she was like solid in Endgame, right? Without it, so I thought, like, to be honest with you, I thought you were almost like nerfing one of your best, giving her the armor almost nerfed her, and I was like, I don't understand, why are we doing this?
But remember, they're all underwater, and they're stronger because of the water pressure. So they've adapted, and thus it's kind of like Superman, right? Like he's working out on a planet that's now he's on an area that it's like different than his body's terrain. They're so used to being crushed by the forces of Talokan,
right?
That when they come out, it's same thing with the people that train in high elevation where their lungs get stronger. People come out, they're like, yeah, I'm super strong because look at the gravities. It's easier for me to do stuff. So I think they're called it's Talokan the city, and then I think they're called Talakonins or Talakonese or whatever. Like I think that's instead of Atlanteans, because Aquaman's claimed that, and they're like, we don't want to be confused with that other movie with water people.
And I thought that the end. First of all, we don't even get a Black Panther until the last 10 minutes of the movie. And the fight scene was okay. It wasn't like you're going up against, even though I don't think it's a villain, but you're big bad for the movie. And it was an okay battle. Like it was, it wasn't anything special. It didn't have that oomph. Like I felt like she wasn't even a deserved ascension into that role.
This is a hard thing. I think, Rob, we talked about this. Like, you talked about the hard landing, and that's the thing about these Marvel films, is that we complain all the time that why are you just killing the villain? Because when you kill the villain, you can't bring him back. And Namor is a very complicated character in terms of he toes that line, that anti-hero that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, hoped Black Adam could be. Namor is that kind of razor's edge in both good and bad, and he could swing either way. He is truly a wild card. He has that royal lineage, and this movie also confirmed he is a mutant, so he truly believes he's superior. So he's like, and he's a prince, and this is how he rolls, and no one will question him. So there's one of the things where I get it, but you can't also just kill him either, because
I didn't want him to be killed. I felt like the ending, they needed to have the big battle, and it felt really truncated. And it's like, okay, let's call a truce, and we'll take a helicopter back because you broke up my ankle. And hey guys, all on the boat, let's stop fighting. We're friends now. Like, it just felt so like that last, like, it wasn't even Act 3. It was like the last third of that Act 3. It just felt so rushed to me. At any rate, man, like, you know what? I thought I didn't really overly. I didn't come out of there going, "Wow, that was great." My wife loved listen, guys. My wife does not like these movies at all, but she loved the first Black Panther. She came out of that not really happy with it either. The 4 of us were kind of like, "What? I don't understand." I thought maybe the longer I had to sit with it, the more I would, take, really think about the whole thing, and I would be like, "Oh, okay." I actually felt like worse for it. I have zero interest in going back to the theater to see it. I will watch it once it's on Disney Plus, because maybe I was just not in the right frame of mind to watch it. I don't know. But for me, the best part of the movie was that mid-credit scene. I thought that was like, I loved that. And I was like, all right, and we're done. So, there's 3 hours gone, and off to the next adventure we go. So,
I'm a little conflicted. I think the first act is hard, cold open, and I thought it was really well executed. It's one of those films where the superhero part actually sucked. I think you've already both of you have talked about. The suits didn't look really great. The action sequences were not good at all, and I think that's indicative of not this movie, but all Marvel films. All Marvel films, maybe the exception of Winter Soldier, are cookie cutter. It's like, here's a fight sequence where one guy runs down and punches everyone and continues running, whether it's a Thor movie or whatnot. Because of the VFX so much involved in fighting people and special effects, is that you end up doing this stuff so early in the process. It's just like, let's just get it done to fit in the movie. It's not where we constantly go, oh, look at John Wick, look at these things. Well, he's just fighting dudes. And unfortunately for those films, it's all action sequences, and the rest of the movie is just like, is this a movie or just a set piece to go to the next set piece? It doesn't feel like a film. So you can tell the weaknesses of these Marvel films is they don't have the same technical team doing the fight sequences, but that's also because they're fighting like giant CGI monsters. So it is always going to be difficult for them to make that landing. Namor was the best part. Like, you got a sense of who he was, the character. It was questionable when he was like talking to Shuri, and that was kind of a weird, like, I have to tell you a story, and you're like,
yeah,
why you didn't even answer the question. So I just go there like, oh, okay, like, you did it, but do I really like, but you got his perspective, and it made a lot of sense. I think the reveal, like I said, he's a mutant. They've said already that he's as strong as Thor, and when he has water, he becomes as strong as the Hulk. Was like, okay, that's interesting to see. That's how that works. And as I was mentioning, Rob, I was just so excited to see Talakon. I thought it was just so interesting and so mesmerizing, where compared to like watching, you've seen Atlantis 1,000 times before. It's like, oh, these Atlanteans, like, this was just Mesoamerica, like the Mayans, like, oh, this is really cool. Like, they're playing that game that you see with the elbows, and you're like, oh, I know that, I see it in the books. And I liked how it was weird that they did the oh, we have vibranium too, and then this we have the sun under. And I like the fact that they made that sun because it justified, like, oh, there's light down here. This is how they live. This is they grow their food and whatnot. We all know, because James Cameron has taught us, that the darker you go, there's no light, and all you see are those terrifying fish with the light ball heads that eat fish. So, like, how would anyone see anything down there? That was my biggest gripe about Aquaman. It's like, how is it so bright down here? It should be pitch darkness. I don't understand. So that kind of alleviated some of the thing. I thought M'Baku was criminally underused.
Yes.
Like, I just sat there going, yeah, walk the carrot. Yeah, come back, vegetarians. And then you sit back and you're like, what the heck? Like, I get it. He's there. I like
he's now making jokes. He's now the comic relief.
That's what he always is. But like, he's like, and then when he was, oh, we can take him out. And then he was like, and then he becomes a wage of a sage, wise man who's like, they call him Cuckoo Gun, and then he all of a sudden knows all about the history of it. I was like, oh, how did you find this out? Did you Google it? Like, what happened here? They call him the sea serpent or flying serpent. He just was a character where I'm like, I wanted more, and I'm glad. I guess he's the king of Wakanda. Like, it's fine, but I was like, all right, cool. My big gripe, John, I know you enjoyed watching Michael B. Jordan. That whole scene was just like a complete mess. Like, yes, he's valid. It makes sense. The converse, but I'm like, go a little bit more. Go a little bit more. Like, I just need a teeny bit more. And it's just like, it's a half-baked idea. It's like, what he's saying is not wrong. He went, like, she went there for vengeance. She didn't want to go, like, and like, she should have embraced it and had that conversation, like a more deep conversation. I just felt like it was a wasted opportunity. Like, it's, again, the heart-shaped herb shows you who you want to deal with. And he's right. Like, your father would have just murdered them all. Your brother would have done nothing. Like, what are you going to do? Like, he is pretty much calling it as is. I just wanted more of that dialogue, because even Shuri was at the end, like, I forgive. I'm like, when did you learn this? This whole moment of forgiveness. You know, at the end, you're like, I forgive. Where was that NBC flying the lesson?
The more you moment? Know.
Where was that moment? You're like, oh, that's why I have to forgive. It's like, there's nothing. It was just like a cutscene of like, oh, I see my mom, and Namor sees his mom. I'm like, what? Are they both called Martha? Like, what the hell is happening here? Like, why? Why?
Yeah.
Give me reason that she is forgiving because she lost her mother. There is no reason. And I'm just like, again, half-baked idea. Riri, again, fine. She's there, but to Rob's point, didn't have to. You could have thrown in anybody. You could have Lake Bell, who they threw in and killed very quickly as the person like, look, I made it. It's like, try to save her. Fine, whatever. Funny, none of you would mention Martin Freeman, who was just there for like Martin Freeman. You're like, oh, that's Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
What is happening? Oh, just to give information.
Everett Ross just running around.
And then
I used to be married to Julia Louis-Dreyfus. No, I'm not.
They missed an opportunity to have Phil Coulson show up and be like, they are ex-wife, and then the old, like the TV show, the story of the old Christine or whatever, it would be Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Phil Coulson again sharing the screen together. So like I just thought, man, there's so much where I just left going, why is this happening? Was the resolution? You did so much right. You focused so hard on making the beginning tight that you just really unraveled. Art direction, incredible. I think when Namor was wearing the serpent crown, I just sat there going, dude, this is way better than anything Aquaman wears. Like, even though Aquaman has full armor, like that headdress is awesome. And I do like that. Again, another Namor point was that he was the one that decided to do the hand thing. Like, he sees in other posters, like he brought that to the table and he was like, yeah, they have the Wakanda forever. Like, why don't we have one? And it's like, yeah, this the hands. So of the serpent or as John would say, the Hadouken. Like, you're just like firing
Hadouken.
like that's it. So I
Can I ask you though? So there was a very distinct style. I was going to be very interested to find out how they were going to do living under the water comparative to Aquaman, because when we saw that Aquaman footage in Batman vs Superman, it got hammered online because people were like, you could tell he's holding his breath when he's, using his trident, right?
Yeah.
And then, they did what they did with Justice League, and then, with the stupid air bubble, and then they corrected all that shit with Aquaman. And I was like, what are they going to do with Black Panther? Well, they did the same thing in terms of like they held their breath. It was very obvious they were holding their breath underwater and weren't really speaking. So what, like, do you prefer one style over the other and how they addressed living under the water or not? Because
like the girl that plays Namor's cousin can actually hold her breath for like 7 minutes underwater. Like, it's incredible. They talked about it too. They're like, when
the actress, you mean?
Yeah, like they were doing things like she can actually hold her breath for like 7 minutes underwater. They were just talking about it, like that dude is. Yeah, I think Atuma, the actor, they were doing an interview. It was like she could actually hold her breath for 7 minutes. She's like, yeah, I'm just used to that. And I was like, what? 7 minutes? Yeah, underwater is always difficult. That's why Namor has his crib where it's just air, where he can paint and do his thing. Because, yeah, it's like the joke from She-Hulk. Please change back. You are very expensive. The same thing is underwater talk is very expensive. The shout out is to that show. She-Hulk, when she says, oh, all your resources are gone, and then they play the Wakanda drums in the background. It's like, yeah, you're right. Everyone's working on VFX for Namor. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Like, I think there's enough now differential between the two. We'll see if when Namor moves forward, either in his own movie, which I think there's going to be a push for, or when he's in somewhere else where that makes sense. I think because the people are blue and the mask or whatever, I don't think it'll be that much of a problem. But yeah, like, I didn't even think
I think it's impossible unless you physically teach people how to breathe through water. You can't even physically.
Yeah, like, it was one of the things. Yeah, I think it's
so. You
always
might as well create the bubble.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, it's a nitpick. Like, it's a small, like, who cares? Like, in the comic books, it doesn't matter because it's not moving, right? And even in the cartoons, it's like they're just moving their mouths and whatever. It's like water.
How did you do that old Atlantis movie with Michael J. Fox, the unloved Disney movie? I don't remember how they did in that.
I don't remember either, John.
Yeah,
it's escaping me.
We're gonna have to dust that off.
Maybe.
How'd they do
maybe.
in Waterworld? How'd they do it in Waterworld? Did they do it?
They never talked
They weren't
underwater.
under the water.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Kevin
world was
Costner-
just all water. Now, right?
Kevin Costner was the only one that could go underwater. Everyone else
Yeah,
did not.
because he had gills and webbed feet.
I was gonna say, did he have gills and webbed feet? I vaguely remember this.
Yes, he
Yeah.
does. And he also drank his own urine. That was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, guys, who doesn't?
We don't.
Rob's like, it takes a big sip.
That's fine, but somebody's saving money on beverages at home.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I wanted to love this movie. I'm glad that they did one scene only, and I'm glad they left it open for Namor to say, hey, we at the end of the day we need each other. We need alliance. We need partners in this future war. And I like Julie Louis-Dreyfus. Is like, could you imagine if everyone had vibranium? And I do. I think about it all the time. I think about what if we had it. Like, I like that little quick dialogue. Just like that's all she's thinking about. So again, there's one of those things where I think the scope of the Marvel universe kind of hurt. Like, you got to cut all those scenes out. You didn't need it. Like kind of like Shang-Chi, you didn't need, SHIELD agents to be there talking about it. And this is one of those things where it's going to lead to the Thunderbolts, and we'll see what happens with Harrison Ford as our new president /
Get off my plane.
That's what it is, Red Hulk. Any other final thoughts, John? Any other weird things that you want to nitpick now that we've gone through some big lists of things?
No, I'm glad they got rid of the whole sad stuff at the beginning, like opening it like that. I was like, oh man, I don't think I can make it to this movie, and then they kind of like get that out of the way, and then they let you kind of get like. I feel like I'm still soaking this movie in. Like Rob said, like maybe I need a little bit more time with it, for to really hit. But I definitely need to rewatch it. I did think Namor's flying with the wings on his feet looked hella funny. Because he's kind of just like kind of like not quite getting like air, but kind of getting air. It was really bizarre. It was really funny.
It was like playing those old NES games. You have to keep pressing.
It was like you're playing Flappy Bird. It was like Namor was like if it was an animatronic, the guy was playing like Flappy Bird to try and keep Namor in the screenshot or whatever. But yeah, the death of the Queen was heartbreaking. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna take another character from us now. But yeah, I would have liked to see. I don't know how they would have fitted in some more Killmonger in there, like you said, Stu. Maybe a little more fleshed out of that scene, or maybe a callback.
There was so much opportunity. They could have cut so many other things to have the dialogue, but it's fine.
Yeah. Maybe she could have flashed back to it during her fight. And he could have said, "Hey, what do you think you're gonna do? Like, are you gonna finish this like you should or whatever?" And she's like, "No, this type of stuff." But yeah, I think overall all the performance I think were good. I think it was just some of the storyline that just is like
she just missed the chance to like when she was fighting Namor and that scene, John. I imagine it right now, and she was firing her pistols. She just needed to turn on her back and shoot up in the sky, and then firing the guns up in the sky, showing that she's not going to kill him and prove Black Panther / Killmonger that she's a better person.
/ Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, Riri. Yeah, it's one of those things where she's gonna be, I guess, with Anthony Ramos, the Hood, and I'll
give a shit after watching. Don't care. Don't give a fuck.
I liked her first part, the introduction of her and the bridge and all that kind of stuff, and them kind of bonding, and then Wakanda realizing that we're not going to give this young girl up. Was cool, but I think she just kind of like, and then she gets her armor and all that stuff in the end. I feel like it just took away. That was
quick.
Yeah. I feel like it just took away from more story that the Wakandans could have had.
And then they took her armor away. They're like, "You can't let you go with that." She's like, "I just
you can't. I
spent 28 hours straight. I haven't slept. I made this damn thing. I even created the AI. Now you're saying I can't have it? No, sorry, you gotta go."
No. This is a borrowing situation.
Don't worry, you'll have to rebuild it for your own TV show.
You cannot have vibranium anywhere else out of Wakanda. Yeah. That's asking for trouble. You're gonna have AIM show up.
Captain America can walk around the vibranium shield for the past 78 years, and nobody.
That's Captain America. That's
Yeah,
Captain
you could have served
America.
a warrant to Captain America. Did you guys notice that Trevor Noah was the voice for the AI in the beginning?
Yes.
Shuri's AI.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
notice. I was like, oh, that's
Trevor
Trevor
Noah was
Noah.
the voice of the plane in the first movie.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, he was the voice in the first movie. So yeah, it's just he's back. This is his Paul Bentley situation, voice of Jarvis. He started off in the beginning, and now he's still there. Yeah,
I think it's just an impossible task. What they were given to do and the circumstances they fell in, it's nearly impossible for them to nail 10 out of 10 without. I don't know what you would have to do if you would have to just recast or do something completely different. Like I think it was
but John, I think that they could have. I think that because their strong moments are strong, and their weak moments drag everything else down. And so I think that if they had gotten rid of the Riri Williams stuff altogether, if they made this is a 2-hour and 50-minute movie, if they made it a solid 2.5 hours, then they could have focused on the interaction between Killmonger and Shuri. They could have. There was a lot of exposition in this movie, guys. There's a lot, right? From every character giving lot. You would have tightened a lot of those speeches down. I say get rid of the Riri stuff. That's like a good 15, 20 solid minutes out of there. Like you could have tightened it up and made it super, super solid and strictly been about grief and having to acceptance and deal with Namor and this conflict, and then acceptance of everything and moving on. You could have had a solid 3-act story there. They just packed so much into it. But this is what's happening with Marvel stuff now. You're serving the purposes of other projects down the road at the sacrifice of the project you're currently working on, right?
So you're saying it's an Iron Man 2 situation.
Yeah.
That's what Iron Man 2 was. That was the problem. It went too far to build up other stuff, and you're like, I don't care. Can we focus in on the simplicity of this film? Okay, so before we bounce, I asked Rob the question on our chat. What is the best movie released of 2022 Marvel movie? John, what's your favorite MCU in 2022?
2022. So this is all Phase 4 stuff. So
this is just this year. We had Thor.
Here, so there's Thor,
Doctor Strange, and this.
That's it. That's only 3. Shang-Chi and all that stuff is not included in
Shang-Chi was last year. Yep. Of this year, John, of 2022.
2022. Oh wow, there's only 3.
Yeah, there's only 3 last year as well. There was Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and the Eternals.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So give me out of the 3 films of 2022, where of the MCU, because we're not adding Venom because we forgot about it last time too. Venom 2.
Venom does not get on any list.
And we forgot Morbius. Then let's say automatically they're bottom. Where does Black Panther rank between Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, which was May, Thor: Love and Thunder, which was July, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which was November?
I think Doctor Strange takes it for me. It just has like a.
And number 2?
Number 2 is Black Panther, and then the last place is going to be Thor: Love and Thunder.
Rob?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to agree with John. Although, the more I thought about Love and Thunder, and knowing that it's a story told from Korg's perspective, and that's why it's absolutely stupid and silly, is because it's a man-child telling the story. Makes me think it, but I haven't rewatched it because I'm still kind of bitter about it. So I guess I'll go with Black Panther as number 2 and Love and Thunder as a 3rd.
And finally, of all the Phase films of Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Doctor Strange, Thor, and Black Panther, what is your best and your worst, John?
I feel like No Way Home does not. For some reason, I never put it on this list, so I'm just gonna ignore it for now. Number 1 is definitely Shang-Chi. The more I've seen it, the more it just kind of just grows on me.
Clicks on you,
performances and everything like that. Is it perfect? No, of course not. But I think it's the best out of the Phase 4 in my opinion. And then last place, I don't know. I feel like it does. I've stuck up for it lots of times, but it's actually really hard to rewatch it. And I think it's Black Widow. Just the whole last half, the whole second half. I don't even know where the turning point is, but only the little bit of the beginning with her and Yelena and stuff like that is good, and then the whole back end of it is just turns into a trash fest. And I hate to say that because I think they did ScarJo dirty. She definitely deserved a better.
She was a executive producer. She just did what
no,
she
but
wanted to.
storyline wise, they could have given her a better movie than that. But yeah,
she could have helped make one.
Maybe
if she wanted to, she could.
True.
Yeah, like I feel like at the end of the day, she was starring and was she producing it too? Like, I feel like she was also producing.
Yeah, because that was the crux of part of her argument when she sued Disney.
Yeah, which is like, yeah, production. Anyways, Rob, yourself?
Yeah, so I agree with John. We have to make the decision of whether or not Spider-Man: No Way Home is actually part of Phase 4 because there's lots of people who say it is and it's not because it's Sony Marvel. But I would say probably for me, then I would say that Spider-Man: No Way Home is probably my favorite. My most surprising would have been Shang-Chi. So I'm kind of like they're very equal to me. The worst for me was Black Widow, and I haven't watched it since. It's like the Wonder Woman 84 version for me. I can't say it, but I will say this: the most disappointing movie was this one.
Wow.
Oh, and expectation-wise versus expectations versus delivery. Yeah. Okay, I can hear it. I hear you on that. Stu, what do? Do you put Eternals on the bottom?
I still like the Eternals, man.
As problematic as it is, it's decent.
I appreciate the swings, and like Black Panther, it was tethered by this Black Knight thing where they're like, we need to introduce this character. It's like, do we need to introduce this character?
You're like, what is with this guy? Why are they giving this guy so much camera time?
It's like Black Ivan. I'm like oh god, the sword. Man, I think I'm agree with her. Black Widow was the movie that I went back going. I'm probably most disappointed in Black Widow of all the films. I'm like, man, you had this chance to go out with a bang and you went out with a whimper. And I know like Yelena and was my favorite. Like that the family was the best part, and I'm glad that I get to see them more in the future. But yeah, I was like, yeah, okay. And I still think that the best kind of movie experience I think a lot of us had was Spider-Man: No Way Home. Like going back to the theater, like after that much time, seeing people so excited, packed theater, screaming. Like even the last two movies, like the last couple, like Thor, Love and Thunder, Wakanda, like Multiverse, it wasn't the same. People weren't in the theater. It wasn't a must-see movie event. Where you had to be there, and there was an awe and a scream, and it reminded me the most of what it was like to watch Avengers Endgame in the theater. Like nothing's kind of replicated that moment. Spider-Man, because I could hear when that moment when the portal opens and you see Andrew Garfield and the whole theater gasp and they start clapping and humming. Part of me is like, shut up, people. But I'm like, oh, all right, we can do this for a couple seconds.
I feel like
shut up.
It doesn't hit as hard the second, like when you rewatch it, though.
No, it doesn't. But it was like, but that's the same thing.
With if you're talking about one-time experience in theater, that was
with Captain America picks up the hammer for the first time. You're like, ooh, everyone. Like, when you watch it again, you're like, whatever. Or when he says Avengers Assemble, I'm like, the first time you're like, ooh. The next time you're like, all right, keep it going. So that's the thing. So I think, Wakanda Forever. I'm cannot fault it because it did Namor so well and so right that I'm just happy he's here. He was done correctly in a sense of like he's unique. He doesn't. People make fun of him, but he just had like also a swimmer's body. Like it didn't have to be jacked, but he was like he was lifting weights, but it was like this is a guy that's like swimming, so like his body tone is not like
physique.
Not doesn't have to be jacked like Thor. So I just liked. I thought the world building for the quote Atlanteans and Namor was so well done, and it honored a culture, a Spanish culture that frankly Marvel hasn't really touched yet, done anything about that. So I thought, hey, this is really cool, and the Mayans, and I understood why his thought process. Like he's one of the other villains, just like Shang-Chi, where you're like, I get why you're doing things. Like you have a rational agenda. some of these other villains, like I don't like. Oh, Taskmaster's villain, like you just wanted Black Widows to like destabilize the government. No, oh, you just wanted money. Oh, okay, that was your motivation. You want to rule the world.
Wait, you want land like Lex Luthor? That's your big thing? Is you want to be a land baron?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, like I looked through the list. I'm like, okay, that was that one. Eternals was okay. The bad guy just wanted to be born. I'm like, okay. Spider-Man No Way Home, bad guy. Doctor Strange, okay. Like kids, I'm like, okay. Thor, kid. I'm like, so all these are kind of like similar in theme, but I just felt like I'm glad that the main bad guy is going to be around for a bit because I'm going to miss Christian Bale. I'm going to kind of like seeing him there. I liked him as Gore, the God Butcher. So,
I gotta say, I'm really happy though where this is over. Like, I'm happy Phase 4 is done. I am. Like, I have a high expectations for the films going forward. I felt Phase 4 was the weakest of all the phases by far.
COVID had a problem too in terms of it. There's a lot of things going on. There's some problems, but again, we'll see what happens because Phase 5, Ant-Man and the Wasp, we'll see. It's one of those films where the last two people didn't really love, so we'll see if King the Conqueror can change it.
Yeah.
All right, John, tell us where we can find you in the desert of the real and on the internets.
Yeah, so if you're not following the store already on Instagram, Heroes World Online, Facebook, and Instagram, all the newest releases get posted up there, links to the website, all kinds of fun stuff like that. If you are listening to us on the audio, Heroes World Podcast on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, we'll be there. Please help us out and give us a subscribe, give us a rating if the service allows you to do so. Really helps us get in there. I saw a lot of people boosting up on the Spotify and the iTunes. So that's great. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for always sharing. And if you want to come visit us in the desert of the real, as Andre likes to say, 8601 Warden Avenue, we have tons and tons of stuff. And Christmas is right around the corner, folks. You are running out of time. We've got stuff in stock on the shelves. So come in and grab some stuff. Grab some stuff for your friends, for loved ones, for others, or just hoard it all for yourself. That's cool with me too. But yeah, hit us up. We'll hook you up. Thank you, everybody.
Rob, what's going on Sidekick Show?
Well, Stu, thanks for asking. Just as John said, Christmas is right around the corner, and we at the Sidekick Show are deciding for the next 4 weeks we are going to be doing our revisiting some Christmas movies. Stu,
I was going to say revisiting movies we watched a week ago.
We'll be reviewing
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Now with Black Adam having dropped on video on demand, we are even though we just did it.
I feel like that's precedented though, because it drops so fast on demand that we should at least consider
4 weeks and 2 days. It came out after the theater.
It was like a fastest. It was faster than it took them to cancel Jupiter's Legacy. They dropped it on their streaming, I think.
So this week we are decided to kick off our Christmas movie marathon with John's Man Crush, a movie from the late 90s with Arnold Schwarzenegger called Jingle All the Way, which is currently streaming on I don't remember where it was.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, thanks.
So
it's on Disney Plus. So if you are so inclined to revisit this magical tale starring Sinbad, then please join.
Don't forget his son,
Anakin Skywalker
himself.
That's right. Yeah, little Jake Lloyd. You can join us Monday night, 8:15 p.m. live on YouTube, Facebook,
and the late great Phil Hartman.
Yeah. One last question. I had to ask Rob, just for internet's sake. You talked about Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
Out of the films that have dropped, which movie are you most excited for again? These are your options: Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, Captain America: New World Order, Thunderbolts, Blade. Which film do you care about?
Weirdly enough, The Marvels, for whatever reason, is the one that kind of like pops out.
Whoa.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe it's because of how much I really enjoyed Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
But I'm very interested to see Captain America: New World Order.
John?
I'm on a big Guardians kick because I did go on that ride So it was a ton of fun. So I'm on a big Guardians kick right now. So I'm looking forward to some Guardians.
Conveniently, there's a Guardians thing coming out tomorrow. So yeah,
there's Guardians thing coming out
You'll
tomorrow.
get your fix, junkie.
Yeah. Spoiler for the ride. I guess Bradley Cooper, they couldn't afford him or something, so they got like some Rocket Raccoon imitator on there, and they've got a Rocket Raccoon puppet or something. It was really jarring.
Oh, I thought it's him.
It 100% wasn't him when I went. Maybe they only had it for a certain amount of time, but when I went, it was 100% not Bradley Cooper, and it 100% looked like a puppet.
Well, wait, did you want to be a real
wait. It's always a puppet. And Bradley Cooper's not there doing it.
No,
Bradley Cooper doesn't show up and like
a Muppet. It looked like a Muppet. It looked like a Muppet.
Again, Bradley Cooper
really was like, he was like, come on the screen.
Do you think that Bradley Cooper wears the raccoon costume and does the Disney ride?
Well, okay.
Wait, that what you think?
That would be fantastic, please.
He's busy. You can't just be at Disney World day talking.
Is what's it called coming out? What's that Lady Gaga movie Bradley Cooper saw? Is the sequel for that coming out?
What? No, man.
What are you?
What is happening?
Bradley Cooper is an actor that's directing a film soon. He cannot be at Disney World physically cosplaying as his character to give you a tour of the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, John. That's not how it works. Yeah, no.
Do you think maybe you just went on like not the official ride? You went
maybe, I went to unofficial.
Outside of the park, like, hey, welcome to the Guardians Express ride. Come $5 a person, come line up. Yeah, look, we got that rocket guy. Hey, it's me, Rocket Raccoon.
John's like, it was just a sock puppet with googly eyes on it. I don't understand what happened.
Anyway, Stu, what about you? Is it Quantumania because your boy Kang?
I kind of am more excited about Blade. I'm still kind of excited about Blade.
It sounds like it's potentially a mess, though, is it not?
Hey man, they got a new creative team and director. I think I'm kind of excited that I'm excited for Thunderbolts as well because I love the Thunderbolts. I just hope Zemo's in it. But yeah, I'm kind of excited Thunderbolts and Blade. That's kind of what I want to know. Everything else is kind of like whatever. So yeah, that's 2024.
Phase 6 it is.
Phase 6 is Deadpool 3, Fantastic Four, Kang Dynasty, Avengers, and Avengers Secret Wars. So we don't get that movie till 2025, 2026. Yeah. So
and you know there'll be delays. So we're gonna be like into our 50s.
I think we'll be
one
okay.
of us will be.
We'll see. All right, people. Then we're off the rails real quickly. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dudes.